Death get into our world, and when did it get here? Again, we go back to the Garden of Eden, and everyone watching this program has a question to answer. First of all, we know for a fact there are many layers in the earth. We've been looking at those layers. We know for a fact those layers are filled with billions of fossils. That's why we call it the fossil record. We also know that these fossils represent death, disease, pain, and suffering. They're creatures that were living, that are no longer living. They died, they got buried. The question that everyone has to answer is, how did this happen? How do we get all these layers on the planet filled with billions of dead things? If you believe, even as a Christian, that God just used natural history, there was a big bang and the earth formed over hundreds of millions of years, natural processes building up those layers, you'd have to believe that God did that. And then when all the layers were done, God plants a garden in the top and puts Adam and Eve in it. That makes God responsible for death, disease, pain, and suffering, because all that happened long before Adam and Eve were even on the planet. On the other hand, if you believe those layers were laid down catastrophically by a worldwide flood, that means man is responsible for sin. Romans 5:12, it was by Adam's sin that brought death into the world, and things got so bad after that, almost 1,700 years later, God says, that's it, I'm going to destroy the planet, and he sends the flood. Are these layers, is it just a snapshot of God's process of creation? He used hundreds of millions of years of natural processes? Or is it actually a very graphic picture of God's judgment on sin that necessitated God sending his son, Jesus Christ, to die on a cross? Christians need to decide what they believe about that, and that will drive their view on the age of the earth.